My name is Isabella Turner, and I'm 26 years old. For most of my life, I thought I grew up in a normal, loving family. My dad worked long shifts at a local manufacturing plant. My mom ran a small catering business out of our home, always smelling like vanilla, garlic, or burnt sugar depending on the day. And my younger sister, Monica, and we were close, or at least I thought we were. I was the responsible one, the dependable daughter, the one who stayed out of trouble, helped around the house, and didn't ask for much. Monica was louder, more emotional, always needing reassurance, but she was my little sister. I protected her without thinking twice. That illusion shattered 6 years ago. It started at a house party. Nothing wild, just a group of friends, music humming through cheap speakers, drinks lined up on the kitchen counter. Monica and I both went. I remember thinking it was nice, how grown up everything felt, how normal. The next morning, everything burned down. I was halfway through my coffee when Monica burst into the kitchen, tears already streaking her face like she'd practiced the timing. "I saw her," she cried, pointing straight at me. "I saw Isabella sneaking out with people's stuff." The mug froze in my hand. "What?" I laughed at first because it sounded ridiculous. "Monica, what are you talking about?" She shook her head violently, sobbing harder. "Don't lie. I caught you going through coats. Bags. You thought no one would notice." My dad stood up so fast his chair scraped against the floor. "Is this true?" he demanded, his face already dark. "No," I said immediately. "Of course not. I was with friends all night. They can vouch for me." My mom didn't say a word. She just stared at me, disappointment etched into every line of her face. "Are you calling your sister a liar?" my dad snapped. The room tilted. "I would never steal," I said, my voice shaking now. "Monica, why are you doing this?" She wouldn't look at me, just kept talking, details piling up, one after another. What time she saw me, what I was supposedly carrying, which room I came from. The more I denied it, the more confident she became. Finally, my dad crossed his arms. "Either you admit it and return everything," he said coldly, "or you leave this house." I stood there, heart pounding in my ears. "I'm not confessing to something I didn't do." His face turned red. "Then pack your things." Just like that. Monica stood in the doorway while I packed, arms folded, expression blank. No tears, no guilt, no hesitation. I walked out of my childhood home with a single bag and the sound of the door locking behind me. I didn't know it yet, but that moment would define the rest of my life. The first night I slept on my friend Mia's couch, I told myself it was temporary. Just a misunderstanding. A weird family blow-up. Something that would cool down in a day or two, once my parents actually thought about it. But the next morning, my phone was full of messages that made my stomach drop. "Isabella, what did you do?" "I can't believe you would steal." "My mom said your parents had to kick you out." "That's awful." My parents hadn't cooled down. They'd broadcasted. They told people they had no choice. They told people they were heartbroken. They told people they were protecting the family's integrity, as if I was some infection they'd finally cut out. And Monica? Monica played the victim like she'd been rehearsing for a lead role. I heard it from a mutual friend first. "She's been crying to everyone," Mia told me carefully, handing me a mug of tea like she was afraid I'd shatter if she moved too fast. "She said you've always been jealous of her." Jealous. That word crawled under my skin. I was the one who used to cover for Monica when she forgot her homework. The one who gave her my clothes when she didn't like hers. The one who would take the blame if she broke something, because I thought that's what big sisters did. Now I was being painted as some bitter, unstable thief. I tried to call my parents, once, twice, then 3 times. My mom didn't pick up. My dad answered the 4th time. His voice was firm, like he was proud of himself for being decisive. "You embarrassed this family," he said. "I didn't do anything," I whispered, pressing my forehead to the wall to stop myself from crying. "Dad, please, you know me." "I know you refused to admit it," he snapped. "And you humiliated Monica." "She's lying." "Enough," he cut in. "If you want to come home, apologize." There it was, the trap. If I apologized, I'd be admitting guilt. And once you confess to something in a small town, it doesn't matter if you did it or not. It becomes your label, your permanent title. Thief, liar, problem child. So I didn't apologize. And that's how the temporary became real. Over the next few months, I bounced between couches and spare rooms. I took whatever work I could find. Odd jobs, late shifts, anything that didn't require someone calling my parents for a reference. Because I learned fast. People didn't just whisper about me. They avoided me. At the grocery store, the cashier who used to chat with me about recipes suddenly stared at the belt like I wasn't standing there. At the gas station, a guy I went to high school with looked at my hands like he expected me to grab something off the counter and run. I started keeping my hoodie pockets empty on purpose. I started paying in exact cash. I started smiling too much, talking too softly, like if I could just be harmless enough, the world would stop treating me like a threat. But it didn't. And the worst part? My parents didn't reach out even once. Not to check if I was safe, not to ask where I was sleeping, not to ask if I had food. Because in their heads, I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was a lesson, a warning, a story they could tell at church or family gatherings. We had to be tough. Isabella made choices. And relatives? Oh, relatives had opinions. My aunt texted, "Just apologize, honey. You know how your dad is." My uncle wrote, "Your mom is devastated. Don't be stubborn." I wanted to scream. Stubborn? I was homeless. I was working until my hands hurt and my feet swelled, just so I could afford a tiny rented room for a week at a time. Meanwhile, Monica stayed home, wrapped in everyone's pity like a warm blanket. I found out she'd been telling people she was scared of me now. Scared. As if I was some violent stranger and not the sister who used to walk her home from school holding her hand. One night, I came back to Mia's place after a double shift and found her sitting at the kitchen table, lips pressed tight. "What?" I asked, already exhausted. She slid her phone toward me. On the screen was a Facebook post from Monica, a long, emotional paragraph, full of vague pain, full of betrayal, full of carefully chosen words that never said what she accused me of directly, but made it painfully clear to everyone what she wanted them to believe. At the end, she wrote, "Some people can be family and still be dangerous." My stomach turned. I stared at the screen so long my eyes blurred. Mia's voice was careful. You need to get out of this town." It hit me then, like a door closing. This wasn't going away. I could work myself to the bone, live quietly, avoid trouble, and I'd still be the villain in their story. So I left. Not dramatically, not with revenge or a speech. I just gathered what little I owned into a trash bag, borrowed Mia's old suitcase, and moved to the next town over where nobody knew my name. I rented a studio apartment so small the bed almost touched the stove. But when I closed that door behind me, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Safety. No one looked at me like I was guilty. No one knew the story Monica wrote about me. And slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt. I found a stable job. I made friends who only knew the version of Isabella that existed after the wreckage. I learned how to laugh again without checking who was watching. But late at night, when the world went quiet, the question always came back. Why? Why had Monica done it? And why had my parents believed her so easily? Then, almost 6 years after I was thrown out, life handed me something I never expected. Love. His name was Ethan Reynolds. I met him in the most boring way possible. At a work event, standing near the drinks table like I was trying to hide. He smiled like he didn't have a single cruel thought in his head. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," he said. I blinked. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who feels the same," he replied, and clinked his plastic cup against mine. At first, I didn't tell him much. Just bits. A fractured version of the truth. The kind you offer when you're afraid someone will look at you differently if they know. But Ethan, he listened. And when I finally told him everything, Monica, my parents, the accusation, he didn't flinch. He didn't ask what I did to cause it. He didn't say, "But they're your family." He just reached across the table, covered my hand with his, and said quietly, "I believe you." Those 3 words hit me harder than anything my parents ever said. Because for 6 years, I'd been starving for that. And Ethan became the first person who made me believe I wasn't broken beyond repair. We built a life. Not a perfect one, but a real one. The kind where I could breathe. Where I didn't have to prove I deserved love. And when he proposed, I cried so hard I couldn't even say yes at first. I just nodded, shaking, because the happiness felt unreal, like something I didn't have the right to hold. We posted the engagement announcement on social media that night. Just one picture. Ethan's hand around mine, my ring catching the light. I thought it would be simple. I thought the past was behind me. But 2 days later, my cousin Lena messaged me. Are you inviting your parents? Because they're telling everyone you're cruel for leaving them out." My throat went cold. I stared at the message until the words stopped making sense. Then another text came in from my aunt. "Your mother says she deserves an invitation. She's very hurt." Deserves. That word again. Like what happened to me 6 years ago was just a phase I was supposed to get over. My hand shook as I showed Ethan. He read the messages slowly, then looked up at me, eyes dark with concern. "If they want to make amends," he said, voice gentle but firm, "shouldn't they start with an apology?" I laughed, but it came out bitter. "Apologies aren't their style," I said. And as if the universe wanted to prove me right, My phone buzzed with a voicemail from an unknown number. I pressed play. Monica's voice poured through the speaker, sweet as syrup, fake as plastic. Hey, Isabella. Long time no talk. I heard you're getting married. So exciting. Let me know if you need help planning. Family should be there for you, you know? Family should be there for you. I sat on my couch, staring at nothing, the room suddenly too small again. My heart wasn't just angry. It was terrified, because I realized something in that moment. They weren't reaching out to make peace. They were reaching out because my wedding was a stage, and they wanted to walk onto it like nothing ever happened. Ethan sat beside me, his arms sliding around my shoulders. But even in his warmth, I could feel the old ghost stirring, because deep down I knew they weren't going to ask. They were going to show up. And when they did, they weren't coming with regret. They were coming to take something from me again. I didn't respond to the messages. Not to my aunt, not to my cousin, not to Monica's voicemail that sat in my inbox like a landmine I refused to step on. For a few days, things were quiet. Too quiet. Ethan and I tried to focus on wedding planning. Venues, guest lists, seating charts, but it felt like building something beautiful on top of unstable ground. Every laugh felt cautious. Every happy moment came with a shadow, like I was waiting for someone to rip it away and remind me I didn't deserve it. Then the pressure started again. My aunt called one evening, her voice already tight before I even said hello. Your mother is devastated, Isabella, she said. She hasn't slept in days. I closed my eyes. I didn't do this, I said slowly. They did. She's still your mother, my aunt insisted. And Monica is your sister. You can't erase them from your life. I didn't erase them, I replied, my voice shaking despite my effort to keep it steady. They erased me. Silence crackled on the line. They feel like you're punishing them, she said finally. I almost laughed. Punishing them. For 6 years, I slept on couches, worked jobs that barely paid rent, watched my name turn sour in people's mouths. And I was the one being cruel? I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm protecting myself. She sighed like I was a child who didn't understand the world. Just think about it. Your wedding is supposed to be about family. After I hung up, I sat in the dark living room long after Ethan had gone to bed, staring at the engagement photo on my phone. Family. That word used to mean safety. Now it felt like a weapon. The next message came from my mother. Not directly, of course. That would require vulnerability. It came through my aunt again, forwarded without comment. We deserve to be there. Isabella needs to stop acting like a victim. I felt something inside me finally snap. I showed Ethan, my hands trembling with a mix of rage and disbelief. She still won't apologize, I said. Not for kicking me out, not for believing Monica, nothing. Ethan's jaw tightened. You don't owe them access to you, or to us. I nodded, but fear crept in anyway. Because I knew my parents. They didn't ask for permission when they felt entitled to something. They took. That Saturday afternoon, I was proven right. Ethan and I were sitting at the dining table, papers spread everywhere. Guest lists, seating arrangements, color samples. For the first time in days, I was actually laughing, teasing him about wanting to seat his college friends near the bar. Then there was a knock at the door. Not a polite knock. A firm, impatient one. My chest tightened. Are you expecting someone? Ethan asked. I shook my head slowly. Another knock, louder this time. Before I could reach the door, it opened. My father walked in like he owned the place. My mother followed, lips pressed tight, eyes already glossy. And behind them, Monica. She looked exactly the same. Same posture, same carefully arranged concern on her face. Let's cut the nonsense, my dad said immediately, brushing past me. We're your family. We have a right to be at your wedding. I just stood there stunned. 6 years. 6 years without checking if I was alive. And this was how they showed up? You don't get to barge into my home, I said finally, my voice quieter than I expected. Monica clasped her hands together. Isabella, please, we don't want to fight. I laughed then. I couldn't help it. It burst out of me, sharp and bitter. Really? I said. Because the last time you accused me of something, my life fell apart. My dad's face hardened. You were asked to apologize. You chose pride. I chose the truth, I shot back. My mother stepped forward, tears already spilling on cue. We did what we thought was right, she said. You left us no choice. No, I said, my heart pounding. You didn't give me a choice. Monica's eyes welled up perfectly. I was young, she said softly. I made a mistake. A mistake? I snapped, turning to her. You watched me get thrown out. You watched me lose everything. And you said nothing. She shook her head, voice trembling. I was scared. Ethan stood up then, placing himself just slightly in front of me. Not aggressive, just protective. This isn't productive, he said calmly. If you're here to apologize, then apologize. If not, you should leave. My dad scoffed. This doesn't concern you. It concerns my fiancé, Ethan replied evenly, which means it concerns me. For a moment, no one spoke. Then my dad crossed his arms. We're coming to the wedding, he said, whether you like it or not. Something inside me went completely still. All the fear, all the anger, all the years of swallowing my pain, gone, replaced with clarity. No, I said. They all looked at me. You are not coming, I continued, my voice firm now. You don't get to pretend nothing happened. You don't get to smile for photos and play happy family. My mother gasped. How can you be so heartless? I met her eyes. How could you? Monica opened her mouth, probably to cry or deflect or twist the moment into something else. But I didn't give her the chance. I'm done being polite, I said. You kicked me out. You let everyone believe I was a thief. You never questioned it. And now you want to celebrate me? My dad's face reddened. We raised you. And you abandoned me, I cut in. The room felt heavy, suffocating. And that's when I realized something else. They still thought they had power over me. They still thought I was bluffing. So I took a slow breath and said the words that changed everything. You should leave, I said quietly, because if you don't, I'll stop protecting Monica. Monica went pale. My parents stared at me, confused. What are you talking about? My mother whispered. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, for the first time in years, and I knew. They had no idea what I'd been holding on to. Get out, I repeated, before I remind you why you should have listened to me 6 years ago. They left shortly after that, not apologizing, not admitting anything, just shaken. Ethan locked the door behind them and turned to me. You okay? He asked gently. I nodded, but my heart was racing, because now there was no going back. I had drawn the line, and if they crossed it, I wouldn't stay silent anymore. They tried to wait me out. For a week after that confrontation, my phone stayed quiet. No messages, no calls, no apologies, just silence so thick it felt deliberate, like they were hoping I'd panic, fold, and invite them out of guilt. Instead, I slept better than I had in years, until the emails started. First from my cousin, then another aunt, then someone I barely remembered from childhood. Your parents are heartbroken. Monica is beside herself. Why are you doing this now? Doing what? Existing without permission? Then my dad texted, straight to the point, just like always. We'll be at the wedding. This ends now. No question mark. No discussion. I stared at the screen, feeling that old familiar tightness in my chest, but it didn't last. Because this time, I wasn't that scared girl with a duffel bag in her hand. I turned to Ethan. They're going to show up. He nodded once. Then we make sure they can't hurt you. That night, I finally did what I'd avoided for 6 years. I opened a folder on my laptop labeled Backup. Inside was a single video file, security footage from the house party. I downloaded it the week after everything happened, after one of the hosts quietly sent it to me and said, I don't think this is what they think it is. I watched it again, my stomach twisting. There was Monica, clear as day, slipping into a bedroom, opening drawers, filling her bag, leaving through the side door. No ambiguity, no confusion, just truth. I hadn't shared it before because I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. But peace requires consent from both sides, and my family never stopped pushing. So when they showed up at my apartment again the following Saturday, I was ready. This time I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just handed my phone to my dad. Watch, I said. The color drained from his face as the video played. My mom covered her mouth, a sob breaking through her fingers. Monica froze. I can explain, she whispered. No, I said calmly. You've explained enough. My dad looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. You had this? For years, I replied. I just didn't care enough to use it. Silence swallowed the room. If you come anywhere near my wedding, I added, everyone will see this. That's not a threat. It's a promise. They left without another word, but they still tried. On my wedding day, just as the ceremony was about to begin, the venue coordinator rushed over. There's a disturbance, she said carefully. Security escorted them out in front of everyone. My parents shouting, Monica crying. I didn't look back. Later, they blamed me for ruining Monica's life. I blocked their numbers. Stop! Part 5. Apology without forgiveness. The wedding was beautiful. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. Surrounded by people who believed me, who chose me, who never asked me to be smaller to keep the peace. Ethan and I laughed, danced, cried. For the first time, my joy didn't feel borrowed or fragile. A week later, Monica showed up at my workplace. She looked smaller somehow, less confident. I'm sorry, she said, tears spilling fast. I was jealous. You were always trusted. I wanted that. 6 years too late. I don't hate you, I told her, but I don't trust you, and I don't owe you a relationship. She nodded, defeated. My parents never apologized. They still call it a misunderstanding. That's fine. Some truths don't fix families, but they free you. That night, I showed Ethan an old photo of Monica and me building sandcastles as kids. "You can miss what you lost," he said softly, "and still know you're better off." He was right. I chose truth over family politics, self-respect over hollow reconciliation. And if that makes me the villain in their story, I'm okay with that. I'm finally writing my own.